Good morning to all of you. Welcome to our panel. It's really a pleasure to have you here. Although it's the last day of the conference, but I was afraid when I saw this big room 20 minutes ago. But now it's getting filled in, so thank you all of you for being here. We have really nice speakers, panelists. I really want to thank you also for being part of this panel. So I'm sure that we will definitely try to give you some insights regarding the emerging Europe area, which is definitely still quite untapped area. But okay, so I would just like to set the scene with just a few slides describing what's happening in the area, and then I would introduce each of our panelists, and then we can actually start with some discussion. So when we talk about emerging Europe, we actually refer not only from Poland or from Poland to Romania, but actually we are speaking about area from Baltic to Adriatic Sea. So you can see it's actually area 13, 14 countries, from Poland on the north up down to Macedonia and Albania to the very south, excluding Turkey, excluding Greece, because of obviously they much advanced. But what is actually in common for all region, for all these countries, that's really historically, geographically, politically, very heterogeneous region, very differentiated. Even neighboring countries and conditions of doing business in neighboring countries are also very specific and very differentiated. That's maybe one of the reasons why still we talk about the region which is emerging and facing some development issues and challenges, which some of these guys at the table have managed to come over and to excel in what they're doing. But recently, the whole region is actually facing strong support from EU through structural funds, through EU funds in terms of development of infrastructure, accessibility, airports, highways, and also support for industry development. So we are talking especially in Poland, especially in Czech, in Slovakia, about industrialization and strong development leading to high growth rates of GDP, which also supports local travel industry as well. But still there are huge challenges, issues to be discussed regarding the area. One of recent one being definitely the refugees, which are, this unfortunate story has actually influenced the whole region, primarily Turkey and Greece as entry points, but at the moment the whole area, including Macedonia, Serbia, are facing tremendous challenges. And as we see, this story will continue, maybe in some other routes, but it's definitely the story which in political sense is at the moment hot issue. Yeah? Then on the other hand, we have public government, which they're spending a much question and problem of public debts, which are increasing and then influencing macroeconomic stability and the further problems with financing and some issue with that. Of course, unstable political situation which we have in some particular countries at the moment, also unsolved border regulation and agreement between countries, Kosovo and other, let's say, countries. And of course, prior to crisis, a lot of banks, a lot of investors were included into land banking procedures, which now they're finding their way out of this, inflated prices, etc. Now it's time to realize what is the real value for the exit. So a lot of different, but I would say interesting question. And last but not least, the public sector is also still not adjusted to global rules of the game, a level of know-how and understanding how they should behave with investors, with brands, and how to ensure a competitive business environment is still something that has to be explored in many countries so far. Yeah? Regarding tourism industry in this whole region is also very hard to say some common understanding and some bottom line because it's very differentiated. But what we see, and guys here will definitely talk about this probably, is that development of tourism is focusing primarily on first first-tier cities, and we have then seaside resorts, and then some very specific selected mountain destinations. There is something still to come. In Hungary, for instance, there is thermal business, but it's still some insulated stories. Yeah? And due to all what we talked so far, it's a fact actually that emerging Europe is still below the radar of international market. Just 5% of European transactions were in 5 years total realized in emerging Europe. So just 5% of all transactions, which is for this area geographically covering huge part of the Europe, it's very indicative. Yeah? And of course, in terms of products, we have business, which is still main inducer of business of tourism demand, especially in cities. But then we have very strong holiday story on the seaside, seashores in Romania, Bulgaria, and also on Adriatic coast, Croatia, Slovenia, Montenegro. So it's, as you see, very, very differentiated story. But however, although there are so many challenges, so many issues, we still, at the moment now, see very recently new and nice things happening, maybe being some kind of, exceptions, but positive ones. So, for instance, what we can comment on is Trójmiasto in Poland, which is celebrating last year's very huge success, like ADRs, which are higher than the in capital in Warsaw. Yeah? It's huge development of urbanization, diversification of tourism product. Maybe Laurent, you can tell us what's happening there when you come on the floor. The next thing, for instance, in Split, we have Split in Croatia being the fastest growing tourist destination in Southeastern Europe. In the last 5 years, annual growth of overnights was on average 22% yearly, with Ultra Music Festival, the global one, with the different smaller cultural events. The city is absolutely transforming its face completely compared to 5-6 years ago. It's huge changes. Then, for instance, in Montenegro, mega project Porto Montenegro, led by Peter Monk. He's developing ultra-luxurious mega yacht marina with the Regent Hotel, Regent residences, with freehold residences developing every year in phases. It's actually becoming new ultra-luxurious destination, plus some other nice projects in Montenegro. And also Dubrovnik is globally well known as city destination. Recently we have seen the rise in terms of movie production. So Game of Thrones, as we speak today, Star Wars 8th edition is being filmed in city center of Dubrovnik, supposed to be the most beautiful city in galaxy in next season. So, and there are rumors that new James Bond will be filmed also in Dubrovnik. So, as we speak about a lot of challenges, definitely there are some things which can be science fiction, but this science fiction is also becoming true gradually, but things are moving forward. So maybe just to start with our dear panelists, Mr. Ottmar Michaeler from Falkensteiner, Christian Michel from Wyndham, Mr. Paladina from Institute of Građevinarstvo of Croatia, and Mr. Laurent Picheral from ACO. So guys, maybe just to tell what you're actually doing in emerging Europe. What's at the moment hot? What is keeping you busy in this area? Maybe,
I mean,
Christian.
As Wyndham, we are working since a very long period already in some market, mainly Romania, where we have a leader position there, and we have key partners and looking at every year 2-3 properties to be converted, mainly into Ramada. And we are also actively working in the other part. Currently, also in Romania, what we started to see now requests also for resorts, so on the seaside, on the Black Sea. for a mix of business hotel and city hotels in the same times, and in ski resort. So we have also this kind of development currently now in Turkey, but we have a project in Poyana Brasov that we are looking at currently with our partners. So that was the main focus. And on the other region, we are really looking at every single project that we can basically look at, if it makes sense. Like you said, it's basically mainly initially a city center project, business-oriented, but we're also currently looking at different objects with our sister company, because we do exchange and rental at Wyndham, and there we feel that it's an added value for development in resorts. And currently we evaluate some projects where you will have a resort, a hotel branded with Ramada or Wyndham, and in the same times then you have sometimes timeshare, you have fractional ownerships, and our company or the specialists there, they can advise on what are the best legal way to do it in the country, who could eventually sell that, what are the feeder markets. We have a lot of information, and then we would affiliate this resort like this. The end buyers would be able to exchange their weeks and be in a upper upscale platform where they have service concierge and be able to travel and not stay all the times maybe in Croatia if they want times to spend their points some other destinations.
Mm-hmm. Laurent, maybe can you give us your perception, what's happening in terms of your activities in emerging Europe?
Well, in Emerging Europe, we have first of all a very powerful partner, which is called Orbis, which is a company owned by Accor at 55% of the share capital. And now Orbis is, I would say, our platform for developing all these countries, Central and Eastern Europe, and I would say in a very dynamic way, based on an historical, very strong position in Poland. Where Orbis had really a massive share of the market, and where now they are in Hungary, in Czech Republic, in Romania, in Bulgaria, developing as well very quickly. Especially in Romania, because we consider this country very promising in terms of population, in terms of modernization of infrastructure. They still should make small efforts for the airport, because the connections are still potentially a bit, maybe not often connected to the western side of Europe and the rest of the world. But we are very confident, and we have very high increase in terms of margin, in terms of productivities, in terms of pure creativity in this part of the world, with very involved people, very creative people. Then we are 100% sure that that's the right place to further invest, and massively.
Yeah. So in some kind of short term, what is your project pipeline?
Well, we have something like, just in the Eastern Europe side, we have more than 10 development already signed. And we basically based in Poland, in Romania, in Bulgaria, and we are now tracking in Serbia, Croatia. Then, as you see, we go more and more in the south. But we start from Poland, and you say via Hungary and Czech Republic. But then we have these regions, Romania, are, for example, the levers of our further development over there. But we should not forget as well the very MICE segment on it. Because considering Central and Eastern Europe just as a market where finally you just think tourist is a customer, it's not sufficient to have a sustained hospitality business. Then it is surely a good part of it, but we need to increase massively the MICE effect. And these more and more towns understand this in this country. You can see what is done in, for example, you were mentioning the 3 cities. They have done a tremendous effort in terms of infrastructure, in terms of airport, in order to welcome more and more customers coming from Scandinavia as well. Then you see that investing in the infrastructure of the town is going to reposition completely the business of hospitality in a more MICE-oriented sector, and not only like sorry to say, a bit a cheap tourist destination.
Yeah. So no cheap, no mass market.
No.
It's not formula anymore.
No.
Okay, Otmar, being a regional and growing brand, establishing its in a serious way, do you think that regional development is still too slow?
Now, first of all, thank you for the invitation. And if I'm sitting here and on the left and the right side, two big global players, then I don't know if I can feel happy, yes or no. But this we will see. If he's buying Orbis, I don't know who he is buying, and I don't know. Great. No, thank you very much for this invitation. Yes, we are now since 20 years as a regional player, small company, comparing these two big players. In this region, we are in Czech, in Slovakia, in Serbia, and in Croatia. Let's say we have huge experience in Croatia for the last 20 years, and I think also in the last months we signed a big deal with Morgan Stanley for our huge project Punta Scala, and this is also, let's say, the message to the market that we would like to grow together with Morgan Stanley in this region. You mentioned before that 5% of the transaction volume last year was done in this region, and let's say I'm not so unhappy. Why? Because I think this is our future opportunity. Because what I understood now, also especially on this conference, that tourism is a still growing market. We know, everybody of us knows that. After crisis, before crisis, everybody went to these markets, but it was not so easy to go in this market. Now it came crisis, clear. People are going back and to make their homework. But in general, I am totally convinced, and we can see it now, this especially in Croatia, what's happened in last months. If there is a tender, then let's say 5 to 10 years ago, there was never international participation. And if you are looking now on the watch list, who is participating on these tenders, for example, now is Liburnia on the track record, and you see that all big institutionals, really hotel investors are on the map, and maybe also some or other company. So it means that also this emerging market will come back. Depends a little bit how long it needs, but in any case, I'm sure that the next 5 to 10 years, it's still another situation like it's now. First of all. Second, I think the whole opportunity also in this market is that people are still, the GDP for the States is still growing, and the people are getting more money for their pocket to make holidays. And this is also a huge chance that this 100 million of peoples, more or less, on this market, they will also make their holidays. And they are not doing holidays just only that they fly to Gran Canaria or Turkey, but they make also in their areas the holiday. We know what's happened now in Middle Europe, that people are not anymore so, let's say, convinced to make holidays far away, especially in this situation. Generally, I think that this dramatical situation more or less will stabilize, but it will stay a serious problem for the next years. And therefore, I think that in general, this market, this emerging market, clear, there are different markets. I can just speak for these four markets. There will be a significant growing in this tourism industry. Clear, it needs more professionality, especially from the political side, but we know when you start about speaking about political, it's better not to speak because you cannot influence this on this way how maybe you want. So keep concentrating on your own business. But what I see, we are, for example, now checking one project in Montenegro. For Montenegro, I'm always, let's say, there we have to see what will be happen, because there was huge investment done, let's say not a clear investment done by some oligarchs or some people, I don't know where they get the money before. So this market must be stabilized in a moment that it get a real market, not just a hotspot market for some buckets and so on. Then I'm convinced that Albania is coming as a destination, because we know that special in our industries, the employee costs are very important, and I think that a country like Albania, there we can keep still a certain salary amount for the next 10 to 20 years. And so we are running there. We are behind the project there, really a nice project from a local investor. And in general, I think that especially of this, let's say, Southeastern Europe market, Croatia will be the next hotspot for the next, let's say, 3 to 5 years. Yes, that's more or less my picture in the moment for this market.
Thanks for sharing. So you mentioned public tenders. The things are changing moving forward. Previously, governments didn't make any kind of globally relevant tenders, actually, not enabling global guys to sign in, to show the interest because of unprofessional approach. But recently, this is also starting to change. So maybe even Mr. Paladina is actually the latest example of successful bidding for a public tender and probably acquiring one of most attractive parts of Adriatic coast, which was previously owned by government. So maybe you can just show us in a few pictures what you're actually doing, what you're planning to do there.
Sinisha, thank you very much for invitation. So as our core activity is actually not hospitality investments, I can speak just from our experience gained during preparation of this project and more or less about Croatia. So we were awarded in one of the latest, or maybe the latest one, government tender for development of former military elite resort. I will show you few pictures. So it is a former military resort situated halfway between old city of Dubrovnik and Dubrovnik airport. This is how this resort, this location looked like 30 years ago or 40 years ago. It started to develop in 1920s, and the last construction was done in the 80s. For the last 20 years, it was demolished during the war and not reconstructed in last 20 years. So it is the area of 15 hectares with beautiful pine trees and pine forest with few hundred meters of long, beautiful beach. We prepared the master plan with our colleagues from EDSA, local architects, 3LHD, and with our consultants, Horvat Consulting. We are planning to develop 2 hotels, altogether for 400 rooms, 400 units, with international brand, international luxury brand, and also few branded residential for freehold sale. This is first architectural image of what are we planning to develop. So what I can say from our experience during this tender is that some good results have come up from a long-lasting economic crisis in Croatia. Since results of this long-lasting economic crisis that is finally ending and Croatia registering for last 3 quarters increase in GDP, there is a lack of resources in Croatian government budget, and this is why right now I can say that when you have opportunity to take part in some of tender like this, definitely the government and government agencies are much more welcoming investors and are ready to sell and privatize locations like this, but also hotel companies that are owned by Croatian government. Right now you have, I don't know how much, but probably almost 10 companies or locations that are prepared or going to be prepared for tenders. Many of these locations are very good locations for the investment. And this is definitely one, it is better situation than it was 5 or 7 years before. I wouldn't say that right now Croatian government agencies that are realizing this kind of tenders have to be applauded for the way how they realize these kind of projects. Definitely they could improve. Definitely there's space to, first of all, to improve with their in-house capacities and the knowledge how to develop these kind of projects on the international level. Definitely there is space for improvement, but I think right now, currently, if we compare what was the fact 5 or 7 years ago and what is happening right now, will is definitely here, and definitely we have a new government in Croatia for a few months, and one of their first goals is to privatize all of locations like this.
All remaining locations.
Yes.
Perfect. Laurent, one question for you. Obviously, having a lot of projects in the pipeline, what is actually, in your opinion, the highest growth potential in terms of what market needs at the moment? Are we speak about luxurious resorts like Ivan's case, or we are speaking about budget, mid-scale, upscale? That's also, Christian, just for you after Laurent tells us.
Well, I think it depends a bit where. That's the first question. Globally, I think that the luxury part is something which is going to emerge little by little. For the time being, we are more on a mid-scales and even more budget hospitality focused, which does not mean that there is no margin of progression, especially in the, I would say, more high-end situation of this. But for these, you have some prerequisite in the environment you must have. We were talking about the infrastructure. We were talking about the political stability. We were talking as well to have as well, financially speaking, reliable partners who needs to have this type of investment. Because of course, when you do invest in a budget or an economy hotel, you don't really need exactly the same level and the same financial surface of it. Then basically we consider that we may still invest massively in Central Europe for between mid-scales and low mid-scales parameters in hospitality, but that in various points we must have opportunity to go more in a resort approach, having in mind that a resort must be capable really not to be only tourist-oriented and not to make 60%, for example, of his business concentrated only on 2 or 3 months, which is probably one of the key elements to cope with in the coming years, whatever the brand might be, by the way, and especially for, I would say, the high level of the hospitality segment. Then, having said this, we consider that yes, Croatia with this coast has a lot to do, and with as well a lot of investment potentiality over there. We consider, however, that some country like Serbia in Belgrade could as well be a very attractive one for a MICE already to between a mid-scale and upscale level. Then I would say this is really an era where more or less everything is still possible over there, as long as you have good economical parameters. I'm not going to say we're going to open any new Sofitel tomorrow over there. Surely not. We are going to grow little by little in scale. But I say that in 5-10 years, why not considering this? It was already mentioned that we have a growing level of capability of this market to have more and more customers with local customers, I mean, which could be and should be the basis as well of the hospitality, not counting all the time about few external tourists. And this is coming. And this is the first basis to see what could emerge for the upscale level up to, I would say, a small luxury one. Mm-hmm. And you have very, very positive example in some of the town of Central Europe where you have very, very good high-level luxury hotel. And you have this already in Prague, you have this already in Budapest, which suffered a lot, Budapest, but now it's coming back completely. Yeah. Then you have this chance more or less in every brand.
Yeah, but when you look, for instance, when you look northern part of emerging Europe and southern part of emerging Europe, where would you bet what's going to grow stronger in terms of new development projects? Is it northern part or southern part?
I would say the south part, but it's going to be more challenging probably. You're going to have less project on the north because it's already done. Then you will have more selected project over there because you have already a lot. And in the south, you have here an era where you can invest more massively. And then probably in percentage, you have more chances to develop something in the south of Europe, Central Europe, Eastern Europe, than still in the north. Does not mean that we do not invest further over there.
Yeah, of course. Yeah. Okay, thank you. Christian, what about you?
I think that was a long explanation, but because the market is so big from the north to the south, I think every country has a different aspect to it. I think there is definitely a strong demand right now for mid-market hotels. We are doing mainly Ramada and Ramada Resort, but I think in some cases it makes totally sense in a new development to do a selected service, so a 3-star superior like Ramada Encore, attached to a shopping mall, or so I think we really look carefully on every single project and try to guide the investors. We feel sometimes it's the same problem we have in Turkey. It's an ego trip development where people go luxury because they think that it has to be luxury. I think we always like to have sometimes the opinion for the owners to have a good feasibility study, basically showing what is the right product on the right location. And sometimes a mix of different brands on the same place could also help. So definitely we see a lot of development for ourselves on the north, maybe with a rollout of Super 8, so in Poland. Continue to develop mainly Romania, like we are doing currently on the key cities and addings. And we see now some of our owners looking at the second property, a second project in our 2 cities in Romania, where they are happy with how the brand is performing, they feel comfortable, and then they are looking at an opportunity in the same town and asking us if we can help, maybe with a different brand again. So that's a little the strategy. And I think on the resort, we've seen a lot of luxury resort currently happening in Greece also, but on some of the islands or in Croatia. I think it's quite an interesting approach. I just really hope that the airlines and the transportations and everything will be able to really extend the seasonality, because if you have a beautiful resort but it's empty, and really it will be eventually an issue. So I think the fractional ownership concept can help there, because you could maybe attract different clients, a different seasonality. You could have people coming from the Nordic countries, for them to come in Croatia in November, October is still perfect. So I think it will be how smartly the country is supporting the destination. That's also one big question mark sometimes is how the people, the end consumers are seeing a country like Montenegro or Croatia and the potential.
Otmar and maybe Ivan as well, since you are developing projects also as investors, how do you see situation with financing opportunities of the project? So did things dramatically change compared to 5 years ago, or is still the same?
No, I think I wrote it also that this is one of the main issues and one of the main points. I would not need now the word dramatical, but in any case, situation has changed totally. First of all, if you see which banks are acting in this region, then you see that there are a lot of banks which have had some problems in the crisis, and they are not so anymore so aggressive with the financing. Second, also, my question is always who is bringing all this equity in it? Because there is needed a lot of equity, and if you're developing a resort or hotel in these areas, then you need minimum 50% of equity. And if I see project like this and make a calculation how huge is this investments and how many equity is needed for that, that's a huge stick. Second, I think that clear there is a certain opportunity with this sales of apartment, but also this is not the procedure what is so easy. So you need also there a good infrastructure just to go to a real estate company and say, sell all my apartments. I think this stays a little dream. Just to mention, in our resort in Punta Scala, from 10 apartments, 9 we sell by our structure and 1 is coming from some third party. Even we have more than 40, 50 contracts in whole Europe. So the financial part is really, this is the huge challenge. And if I come back just to Croatia, and if you get there some benchmarks, from huge companies like Valamars and all these, or Lukic and all these companies, then you must make a really detailed analysis where they get out the cash flows and the EBITDAs, okay? If they get out really from the hotel or get they out from camping and from apartment, okay? So I think this is also very important what should be done. I think Croatia, because you spoke, my colleague here, about airplanes, yes, that's is a very important point. But I think this region, they have also a certain chance from the car market, because even the Polands go 15 hours to Croatia. So I think this is a good combination for Croatia, that you can work with both parts of customers, even by the customers are coming by plane or coming by car. So coming back, yes, the financing, in my opinion, even I saw it with a strong partner like Morgan Stanley, there are no banks, they say no problem anymore, now it's Morgan Stanley and you can have money how much you want. And therefore, I think now is still in Croatia special, and in these markets is a restructuring phase. There's more an opportunity phase. I don't know what will be happen if we come now back then to a phase where all these opportunities are closed, and it must be a development, a really new market. That's then the challenge, who is really getting the financing or who has enough cash to make a property, because still we have the biggest problem is like he mentioned before, my colleague here, is the pre and after season that we have to work, because end of the day, you have 90 days where you have a strong request, and then everybody is going fishing for the same customer.
Yeah. Ivan, what about you?
About the financing?
Yes.
We don't have enough experience that I could say and have a conclusion. What I can say from our experience so far, taking into consideration how do the banks react on some other projects that we do right now, not hospitality ones, and comparing this one, I have to say that for this project, all banks that could finance want to finance, but we didn't still come to the signing. So that what would be the conditions and is it really the 50% of equity needed, or is it 30 or 40, and will we come to the agreement on the financing? I don't know. I can say that definitely they are much more interested in financing this kind of project than I would say all other projects we are developing right now.
You can compare with other industry sectors.
Yes, in our core activities, that is construction, in infrastructure and engineering, or in let's say residential or commercial projects, different commercial projects. But this is I'm talking about Croatia more or less. I would like to add up on the topic of infrastructure. This is definitely one of the most important issues, and one of the most important issues that have to solve occupancy in shoulder seasons or low seasons. This is something that definitely is improving in Croatia. We have reconstruction of Dubrovnik Airport, huge reconstruction under the way that will be finished in, let's say, next 3 or 4 years. On the other side, we are involved in preparing reconstructions for 2 other airports in Croatia on the coast. So this is definitely something that is developing and helping resolving this issue of shoulder and low season. On the other side, definitely we developed a lot of roads and highways that definitely help. Because before, from some point of Eastern Europe, from Hungary or Austria, it was 7 hours to come to the coast. Now it's 3, 4, or 5 hours. This is definitely the difference. So it helps a lot to improve the figures.
One question. Recently, we have seen on the market, not particularly in emerging Europe, but globally, different combos in terms of, for instance, in Accor, we have, IBIS and Novotel and some kind of risk minimizing strategies. So can we maybe expect this kind of development in emerging Europe soon? Is it already happening?
Yeah, it's already happening. It's already happening because, as you just mentioned with Wright, it's a good way as well to try to diffuse a little bit the risk, because you have a kind of a large range from an IBIS to a Novotel. Then you have different type of customers and different type of segmentation, and you have this marketplace which is playing its complete role. And of course, it may sound a bit paradoxical, but when you have a lot of hotels, of course, it's a bit like in a commercial center. At the end of the day, you go over there because you can find place. And then, yes, the combo is surely one of the answers, and we've done it already.
On the north?
On the north.
In the northern part?
Yes. Done.
Perfect. Okay. One question is actually related. All of you are mentioning importance of governments. So it's absolutely needed that you have a smart government who understands what are the needs of the sector. Can you maybe applaud some particular governments from your experience, whether we speak about Poland or some other countries which have make it more easy for sector to operate and to develop? Or everything is...
No, I think we were already mentioning the 3 cities issue, for example, in Poland. Well, I must say they just really understood that they could
Trójmiasto, yeah?
The Trójmiasto, they are really the entry point for Scandinavia at the end of the day. And honestly, now with the ferry issue, they have reestablished between Gdansk, Gdynia, and Scandinavia. You have really more and more power in terms of, I would say, of good trend arriving in this area. Then, yes, you can see that it pays back. You have a town which is absolutely unknown for a touristical approach, we would say, which is called Katowice. When you look at Katowice in Poland, you could say, well, okay, what are we going to do over there? But at the very end, if you see what they have done as renewal of the town, you have massive opportunities here. Krakow has done exactly the same. If you look at several towns in Central and Eastern Europe, as soon as the town has invested, as the 3 examples I have taken over there, it's pay off at once. And the town is changing drastically and very quickly. What is really amazing is the difference between the 2 Europes, if I must say. So it goes very quick, and the return is there. Then expecting a 17% return is not totally out of sense.
Yeah. One question also, maybe I think majority of you at the table, or all of you can answer this, is actually the question of residential real estate in relation to resorts. For instance, Otmar, you already operate and you already have experience in this. So what's your opinion? Is it going to be strong leverage for the future development? Touristic real estate, apartments, second homes. What's your opinion on this? Is it going to be hot in that field?
No, I think in the moment it's not going to be hot because let's say the potential buyers are coming all of this emerging region. Okay, there are, let's say there must be come out the potential buyer, and then it's a little bit the region of Austria, and more or less that's it, because there are no Italian, for example, who are buying something in this region on the coast because they have their own coast. The main question what we are seeing is what will be the behavior of German markets. Still Germans are not buying in Croatia. That's the huge question in my opinion. Maybe if Germans coming back that they see in all this, let's say, Adriatic coast, the new Mallorca, then this could be a new boom. In the moment they are still going off Gran Canaria and Mallorcas and Spain. That's the main question. I can make you really an example. We had last year 100 physical contacts with Germans which have been interested to buy an apartment in Punta Scala, and we closed 0 deal with them. So you see there is some interest, but they are still not believing on this, let's say, on the safety of this market also. If Germans really coming back and let's say the GDP in these emerging markets will still grow in the next 10 to 20 years, then yes, it will be a market, but it will be not immediately a hot market. I think it's a market for the long term, for the next year. Then time sharing is very difficult because you have the seasonality problem, so you don't can sell for 40 weeks. What I understood, I'm not expert, but we study a little bit. You need more or less whole around tourism to get a good time sharing thing. So it's a market, yes, but it's not so a hot market, maybe what a lot of people in the moment are thinking.
Yeah. Christian, you were mentioning fractional ownership, timeshare. Do you have any experience in emerging part?
In this part, currently not, but we have some good example in Turkey with a similar weather condition in Kuşadası as an example, or in Akbük, where you have mainly UK clients who are buying apartments and giving that back to the pool. And we could see there really the benefit, and with the sales organization that we are not selling ourselves as Wyndham, but we are affiliating then through a different model for the people to be able to exchange their weeks to overcome the problem of the seasonality eventually, because you can then have points and you can decide to go for a long weekend, you can accumulate points. So you are not blocked with your week that you have purchased necessarily maybe in October. And what we've seen currently is a lot of British investors buying in Turkey in some destinations very aggressively, because what they like is also to have sometimes a golf course and be able to easily fly then, because of course it will be an issue for the transportation. That will be a discussion. But what was the beneficial part was the brand, I think, for them, because they could see that they had the feeling that the resort will be well managed, will be secured, and will have activities and restaurants. And they felt that because of the international brand, it will be a kind of certain guarantee for their investment in a way in these apartments.
Yeah.
So I guess it will be definitely opportunity in mixed-use development like this to consider that and to see the benefits. What is nice also, I think, with the fractional ownership, not the whole ownership, is that you don't have necessarily a ghost town where you have Italian buyers like we have in some ski resort in Switzerland who are coming only for 2-3 weeks, and then they are not using that, and everyone is complaining in the resort because the people are not there. They just come for their holiday in Christmas and New Year, and then it's closed down. With the fractional ownership, because it's a leisure product, basically you tend to have people from different countries coming when the villa is free. And you can attract that. We have direct relationship with these clients, so we do some promotion to push the people to consume their points and to go to destination. So we can balance that in a different way. So it's, I think, a different way to work from basically to operator, travel agent, high season, big bulk. So.
Now let me add this also. I agree totally what my colleague is saying here. I think there is just to be careful for one thing. I think mixed use is working if you have, let's say, a package in the background, like your company has, like Starbucks, other company has, or we are also working for this premium living, that you can service the customer added value. Just for a single project to make a mixed-use concept, to say, yes, I make all my distribution then, and I have no, let's say, no brand or no package behind, then it will be very difficult. So I think you need, if you make mixed-use, you need some partner who has really competence in this part and not a single solution, and who can offer the customer who is buying an added value. I think this is the most important key for these mixed-use projects.
Yeah, thank you. So as the panel is coming to the very end, we still have some few minutes. Maybe if there are any questions from the audience, feel free.
Hello, I have a couple of questions actually. The first one was to Lauren, because you mentioned IHIF and some of your budget brands. How are you going to deal with them in the south, particularly places like Croatia and surrounding countries where there's a limit on the room size, so you can't get a 3-star under 21 square meters and you have to put room 16?
You know, basically we are going to position Nibis more on the MICE than on any touristic issue. Then basically it's going to be complementary, but with a key priority for the MICE. And then we are targeting more the blue collar at that time. And then, honestly, if you invest in an Ibis well located in the center of the town, it's okay. You can do this. Even in the south, and we are perfectly sure. We have as well some projects already on the road in Bulgaria and Romania and in other south countries of Central and Eastern Europe, where Ibis are very, very lucrative even, because everybody is thinking, sorry to say so, but a bit like a trophy asset to be in a 4 or 5 stars hotels, and sometimes, you know, with some less trophy assets, state of mind of assets, you make a lot of nice ROCE on it.
Okay. And the second question I had is to Christian and to Lauren. And in terms of kind of coming into the region, would you be prepared to do anything other than a management agreement? What about leases, franchises? What's your view on key money?
Well, I don't know, Christian, if you want to start?
Well, I can start. So we do a lot of franchise deal in this part, mainly in Romania, where we feel that the people are able to really run their hotel successfully with one of our franchise. We would definitely consider management in the case of a large resort where they would need an expertise and really run maybe 2 brands or all the rest around that, and so we would consider that. We are currently not doing leases in this part of the world, and generally American companies are not doing leases for one good reason, is that we have to expose the risk on our balance sheet for the duration of the agreement. So I don't think it, and especially I guess the resort area are a little tricky in a way how you want to secure a lease for that. We will be very creative in some key destinations, or Paris or London, where we know what could be but there it's more like, I would say, managed opportunities. And development advance, we always look at key opportunities. We look at if it makes really sense for us, mainly for Wyndham, to offer a key development on that one. But of course, it's then a relation also on the on the fee structure that has a relation. So owners need to calculate and see what is their benefit for that.
We changed totally strategy in this part. We don't make any more management contract. We don't make any more. We make just any more lease contracts. We make long-term lease contracts for 20 years. We feel comfortable in these regions with lease contracts because what we saw that if you go especially also Italy and also the Southeastern Europe market, that the investors don't feel well with management contracts. Banks don't feel well, especially in leisure projects. Therefore, this was the reason that we changed it totally now. We go in good destination and then we make lease contracts.
But are you owner-operating in places like Croatia, or are you actually...
Sorry?
I thought you were owner-operators in places like Croatia.
Yeah, we are still, yes, we have. Yeah, we have there, but we would like to grow also there. No? Yeah, and I am convinced that also from the financing-wise side and so on, and that you have less equity and so on, you need a lease contract.
And as far as we are concerned, well, we are much more than what Christian was just saying a few minutes ago, which is not very surprising because honestly, we are not that far in terms of strategy. Then basically, yeah, well, franchise and management, which is surely the key element in this region first, and or sometimes some acquisition clearly. Lease contract, we are not that fun, not really. Then it's more management, franchise, whatever the country might be, and acquisition, but then it should be a AAA location and only a AAA location.
Yeah. There was another question.
I have one question for Otmar and the other for Mr. Paladina. Otmar, you have taken risk entering into Serbia, in city as well as mountain business. And my question is, did you sorry about this or you are happy with this and what you are forecasting? What will happen in the near future? And for Mr. Paladina, the question, if it is not a secret, how much this project costs? And who is going to manage it? I'm not asking you who is going to design it, but just who is going to manage it.
Okay, Miro, thanks for the question. Okay, we are still now for 3 full years, or 4 full years in Belgrade. Yeah, we are worried that there are coming a lot of new hotels because the market is a little bit under pressure. The rates are not anymore there when we planned the project 8-9 years ago. So let's say, I think Serbia is, or Belgrade is a growing market, but maybe not so fast growing like hotel rooms, new hotels rooms are coming. We have all benchmarks from our competitors, if it's Radisson or the franchise of the other companies. Let's say that will be a challenge. If the room growing is too fast in Belgrade, then we are all suffering. Like it's a city like Bratislava, for example. You know, everybody's making money there, and that's this from this side. Let's say we are a little bit worried that it's not the fast growing. Second, yeah, there are potentials in the ski resorts. We are happy that we could run. Now we have a little bit, you know, some problems with the state. This is a typical political problem. I had 3 personal meetings with the Prime Minister, but the guys under the Prime Minister are not doing this, what he give, let's say, what is his idea, and there is a huge bureaucracy. But in general, I see there are potential also in the ski resorts. The key, in my opinion, in these resorts will be the investment, how to don't make a big investment per key. I think the investment costs are the challenge because you get a certain revenue, have a huge advantage because the salary costs are high, so you can make a EBITDA for between, let's say, 35 to 50%, also in the resort industry, but the key is not over 100,000 euros investment per room.
So the first part of the question, we estimate the investment value around 100 million euros. And even though LOI that we signed with the brand, with the international operator, has NDA, as this information was publicly announced through tender procedure, and I can say that we signed an LOI with Marriott International and with their brand Ritz-Carlton.
Maybe the last question, since we are running out of time.
It's the same development. I mean, we also signed with Marriott, also for a resort. branding works in a hotel, resort hotel, because there have been many examples where they just give back the brand after 5, 10 years.
Yes.
They don't work anymore. It's okay to, it's good to get the financing, good to sell your residentials, but at the end of the day, sometimes most of these brands, they can't deliver what the feasibility study prepared by Orlat wrote in the early days. So why is the reason that
First of all, I will be very honest. The reason is that we had to have a brand to take part in this tender. This is the reason why we didn't even consider not having a brand. But if we discuss will they bring added value? I think they will. Why? In Dubrovnik, that is definitely, from our point of view, has a lack of branded luxury hotels. There is none. I don't think for a reason. I don't know how you know the scene of Dubrovnik's hotels. I think it's not because... It is because most of the hotels are owned by local investors. Few, actually, right now, most of them is owned by one family. I think the decision is not made by the calculation or feasibility. So I really believe that in high season, for this in Dubrovnik, it is 4 or 5 months, the high season. I believe that we will have an added value in average price per room just because of the brand. So this is one added value, and the other one in shoulder season, I think that occupancy will be higher because of the brand. Not the prices, but the occupancy because of the brand. Because you don't have, there is no international brand whatsoever.
Yeah. I mean, maybe an example on your questions, and I think I will not speak about the other brands because we're all trying to do our best and to operate. I think the key resorts are always a key challenge for brands to deliver, to operate, and sometimes they change drastically. And it's not in the control of the brand. But I just wanted to give an example. We have taken, we acquired Dolce Hotels, and it's purely specialized in MICE, but doing really MICE big events and conventions. And we took a hotel in Portugal, and it was done as a Westin, and it never made any profit until we took over and could really restructure that and really concentrate only on that specific market. So that was a point where we could really see the difference between a high-end brand that was used initially to sell the timeshares and the golf and that all what was around that. And the bank still owns a lot of assets where Irish people disappeared and never paid their apartment. So it's still a mixed use that it's a little in limbo beside the hotel. But it's the first time the last 2-3 years that the hotel is doing profit only because we have repositioned that and run that as a MICE destinations, where we could then really come out of the problematic of the seasonality and bring people there to launch a car, to do business, to do meetings, and really operate that. So there is not a lot of key or magics around resort hotels. So you could have a medical spa that could help. We've seen that now in some ski resorts or high-end resorts where you can really influence a little. And then maybe the MICE business that was mentioned several times. But in this case, it was really done professionally and just that. So plus the international brand around that, high season, and then you balance a little.
I give you also from my side an answer to that. I think, especially in resort industry, more than 50% of let's say, if the hotel is running well or not, decision maker must be the director. So in the resort industry, you are much more depending who is managing the hotel directly on the property instead of a city hotel. In the city hotel is let's say, the director cannot, the mother company, the brands can make much more business. But in a resort industry, the brand, yes, they can help you, but you must make also a local market. And for this local market, you need really a good expert on the hotel who has the expertise how to make the market. That's, I think that's also a small difference between city industry and resort industry. Because with no local market, you have no chance to survive in Southeastern Europe. You need this local market also.
Yeah, perfect. So just to wrap up, as we are already out of time, hypothetically, instead of some kind of takeaways, key takes, messages, etc., hypothetically you have 20 million euros in your hands, family savings. You need to choose one destination where to invest. What would it be? Focusing on emerging Europe. Where you would put your private money?
Yeah, I can give you an answer from my side. Croatia, from my side. Croatia.
Split.
Split, Laurent?
Romania.
Romania?
Everybody
Christian?
has experience.
To have fun in Croatia.
Okay, guys, thank you very much.